YouTube, Ozzy, go in the Goat House is back with some more NFL free agency grades. We're on day 2, things heating up once again. We have 2 other videos up full of grades, so if you're looking for other players, they're probably there. More of these videos definitely to come. We have full NFL offseason coverage here, so join us, like, subscribe to notifications on Twitter. Has live breaking news, thoughts, everything we're talking about, rumors. We got you answering questions. So follow our Twitter, link down below. Here it is actually right now. So let me refresh that. Right when I was going to record this, so Connor Williams signed with the Dolphins. That's going to have to be in the next video because we have a lot of guys to talk about in this video, a lot of guys to go over between last night right now. Overall, I'm going to like that Dolphins deal for Connor Williams. It's cheaper than expected, so that gives you a little sneak peek. You want to follow our Twitter there for updates, but a lot of guys to go over here. So first one, this one actually happened kind of earlier yesterday. Mitch Trubisky signed with the Steelers. We finally got the contract details last night. It's a tricky one. I think people spent the last 2 weeks hyping up Trubisky just in case their team got him, or kind of hyping up the price to soften the blow a little bit. That's kind of what I thought then. It's really what I think now. I'm not a big Trubisky guy. I don't really understand the concept of he's a starter, not so good of one, and then he gets paid dirt cheap to be a backup, and then somewhere in there, while he's being a backup for dirt cheap, like he wasn't worth anything when he was a starter just a year ago, somewhere in there he gets $7.125 million to possibly be a starter, and there's a lot more with incentives on that, getting near $27 million. So I'm not really understanding the logic on where that comes to be. Yes, it's not base value. It's not super expensive, I suppose. I'm just surprised that Mike Tomlin, surprised the Steelers that this is kind of what they're settling for. People say they could draft one still. Yes, they could. That would make this make less sense then. So it didn't maybe end up being as expensive as we feared. I just don't love it. And I don't really get the people say Trubisky has upside still. I guess that's because he has, because can he be any worse than he has? I just don't love it. I'm going to give it a C. Surprised at the Steelers' angle so far. Still very early. Thought they'd kind of be trying to get better at this point with a lot of cap space. So I'm going to give it a C. Next up, the Jags, Brandon Scherff. These Jags ones are tough because, they're getting better, but they're spending a lot of money. Brandon Scherff, $16.5 million per year. That's the highest paid guard in football. Talent-wise, he's worth that. He just has not been able to stay healthy. It's not like a 1-year thing, a 2-year, even a 3-year thing. He just has not been able to hasn't been able to stay healthy. So that's the tough part. You get a lot better. You get a good guard in there. I guess they feel confident. Big-time risk, obviously, with the injury concern. It's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, this ends up being a very good one. If he doesn't, it ends up being a bad one. And it's hard to trust him to stay healthy. I do think they get a lot better with this. We'll give it a B-. I was leaning towards the C range because, I think $16.5 million for a guy that keeps getting injured is a little bit of an overpay, but the Jags do get a lot better with this. So we'll see. Just he's got to stay healthy here. Another Jags one, Zay Jones. And the more and more I think about this one, because all these signings I sit here and think pros and cons, the more and more I think about this one, the more I don't like it. Because with 3-year, $24 million, first off, $8 million per year, maybe the receiver market has gone up because of the Jags. So, well, first off, I think we're basing a little bit too much off what Zay Jones did at the end of last year, because take that away. If I would have said Zay Jones getting a $24 million contract, I think everyone would have laughed. I think it would have been, no way. So I do think the Jags are basing quite a bit off the end of last year, which he was pretty good. So there's that. They needed receivers, so that's kind of good. But this is the part I don't like, because the Jags, the problem isn't they don't have receivers. They have receivers. Going into last year, okay, they got Marvin Jones, they got Laviska Shenault, they got this. They got quite a few other guys here. They got guys. The problem is they don't have that number one. They don't have that takeover consistent guy, and that showed itself on game day. They put these names out there, these good guys out there, just don't have anybody to get the separation to kind of take over, So it's kind of go big. You got to go big or kind of go home, because you have to go home guys already. You have Marvin Jones, like Zay Jones here. You have those types of guys. So I guess Christian Kirk is going pretty big. I mean, he's going to have to, step up a little more, which he can. But they already have these guys. They already have these types of guys. So the more I think about it, the more I don't really like it. I mean, you get another solid receiver, which they needed. I'll give it a C here for this one. I just don't know if this was really necessary. Just get the sure. They need the sure thing, guys. You got Kirk. You probably need another outside receiver that can kind of take over, stay consistent. You can trust a little bit more there. The Bills got Tim Settle. Tim Settle was one of my sleeper free agents. 2-year, $9 million, just right out. That's 4.5 per year. So right off the bat, I'm gonna give this one an A+. I like this one a lot. He's been a backup, and he's been very, very productive as a backup. So the complaint would be, why are we signing a backup? Well, he's been behind Deron Payne, been behind guys on that Washington defensive line that are very, very good. Tim Settle is young, still has upside if you get him more playing time, and he was very productive with the playing time he got. So I think he's only going to be better. He's going to get better. I'm very confident with that. It's a very low risk, and there's potential high reward here with Tim Settle. So I really like this one for the Bills. I gave it an A+. Next up, Teddy Bridgewater, the Dolphins, 1 year, 6.5. This is very surprising that Teddy Bridgewater signed this early on. You'd think he would kind of wait for teams to be like, okay, we're desperate for a quarterback. You're our starter. Maybe the Saints came along if they missed out on Watson, perhaps, because he played there before. So interesting he signed right away. So that makes you think, he feels like he has a pretty good shot with the Dolphins. And then interesting he signed for $6.5 million. Incentives could reach up to 10. I mean, Trubisky was 7, and the incentives was in the 20 range, obviously. So it looks pretty good for Teddy. Veteran quarterback with experience, some good play. He's not the best when he's the starter, but some good play under him. Good competition for Tua. Maybe he wanted to go to Miami too because he has a shot, and because that is his hometown. He's from that area too, so maybe that's why as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I think it's an incredible deal. I mean, I don't think we can expect a whole lot from Teddy. I think they're going to start Tua. Maybe there's something that we don't know why Teddy just jumped on this one right away, but $6.5 million in 1 year, I think it's really good value. I'm going to give it an A+ for the Dolphins, Teddy Bridgewater. The Panthers get Austin Corbett, 3-year, $29.25 million, 9.75 per year. A little bit of a risk here because Corbett wasn't really working out until later years with the Rams, but it feels like the Rams have a bunch of under-radar guys in the offensive line, and they play better than expected. It really, really feels like a scheme thing. So are they as good away from the Rams? So that's the risk here, and they're probably not. He's probably not as good, but I still think he's a solid, improving guard. The Panthers desperately needed guard. They didn't really get desperate with the price range. It's a lot of money, but kept it under $10 million. So this is one of those ones where it's a gamble. Maybe he won't be as good as he was on the Rams, but I still like it for the Panthers. It's worth the gamble. They got the upgrade. They didn't overpay. Give it an A- here for the Panthers. They just desperately needed more offensive line help. They have to work on that left tackle now. They're set at right tackle. Taylor Moton's very good. But I give this an A- here for the Panthers. Sebastian Joseph Day to the Chargers. So kind of going in the Rams scheme thing again, but first the positives. The positives, he's played under Staley. He's a young defensive lineman that has some upside. The Chargers needed defensive lineman. That's kind of the positive there. The negative is the Rams. The Rams bring in guys, and they end up being better than expected around Aaron Donald. They let guys kind of walk, and they end up nowhere near as good. Guys like Brockers, etc. So that's the tough part here. And at the same time, he hasn't been that productive as it is. Surprised he got $8 million. Hasn't really. He's kind of banking on his future. It's not the lengthiest. In 3 years, somewhat lengthy here. I was kind of hoping, because I think the number one thing for the Chargers is they got to stop the run better, plain and simple. And they're not, and they're getting better doing it. They're getting better. How much better? It doesn't really seem like the main focus right now, which was. You still got the draft, still got more free agency. I was surprised the $8 million. I think you're banking on a lot of upside that I don't think he'll get to right away. At the end of the day, maybe you get better. You get a guy that can fit. I'm gonna give this one a B- here for the Chargers. It was a little surprised $8 million per year, but we'll see. We'll see what he can become. Chargers are improving. They are improving. Next up, the Chiefs got Justin Reid. So Justin Reid has experienced a free safety, strong safety. It sounds like Matthew will not be back, so that kind of tells me they're going to play Reid at strong safety. 3-year, $31.5 million. He looked better earlier in his career than later. Texans kind of became a mess a little bit. Easy to think, maybe he can get back on track in a better situation. $10.5 million per year. Wondering how much Matthew wanted. Apparently the Chiefs didn't even offer a contract there. For Matthew. So, I like this one. It's kind of, you look at it like Matthew's gone, Justin Reid's in, you get a good player in, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs kind of got worse. But I don't know if we can grade it like that. We just grade it off the value here, and I still think Justin Reid actually has upside. I'm excited to see him in a different defense here. So I'm going to give it an A. I like $10.5 million per year. What was the franchise tag? Was like $12.5 million, so he's under that by $2 million, maybe a little bit less than that. I think that's a pretty good deal. So hopefully he kind of gets back on track. Hopefully the Chiefs can get better elsewhere, because that's why you kind of move on from Matthew. You move on from Matthew and get a good player here in Justin Reid, maybe take a step down so you can get better at, add another receiver, add another pass rusher. So kind of banking on that. They'll go to work. It's the Chiefs here. So I like this one. I gave it an A for the Chiefs. Speaking of the Chiefs, Charvarius Ward goes to 49ers, 3-year, $40.5 million. And I actually predicted Ward to go to the 49ers. I did not predict him to get $13.5 million per year. So that was a little more than I thought there, especially with the corner market. Like, J.C. Jackson getting a lot less than expected. Carlton Davis getting less than expected. He getting $15 million per year. Ward not too far under that, which Ward's a good young player getting better, but there's a pretty big difference between Davis and Ward here. 49ers did need corner. My problem here is, like, why all of a sudden are we not only valuing corner but kind of overvaluing a little bit, because the 49ers defense was one of the best, if not the best in football down at the end of the season, and their weak spot was corner. Of course, you don't want to have a weak spot. You want to get better. That's the good thing. But they're able to kind of hide that position and make it look like the least valuable position on the field by undervaluing it. Look smart, and now it's fine to go get better and get corners, obviously, but to kind of go get Ward at 13.5, I think it's a little, contradicting what happened last year with them. I do like the fit. Can play man coverage, can play cover too. We've seen the Niners do a bit of everything. I was surprised at I thought kind of wondering if he's going to get around the $10 million per year. He gets 13.5. And they're still holding on to Garoppolo for now, so they're very, very, very low on cap space, and they spent it here. I'm not really in love with it. They get better again. They get a good fit. I'm gonna give it a C+. I think the fit kind of raises it up from being a C. I like the fit, so we'll tack the plus on. Just very, very surprised at $13.5 million. Very surprised that they kind of went from undervaluing corner to kind of working out for them to not just valuing it, kind of overvaluing a little bit. They were in on Stephon Gilmore, so I'm wondering what his price range was. Because, again, Carlton Davis getting $15 million, J.C. Jackson $16.5. I wonder where Gilmore's price range, because they were very much in on Gilmore. For them, like, no, Ward, $13.5 million. So that's a little weird as well. Maybe Gilmore's asking something outrageous. I don't know. So it's one that you have to question a little bit here, but they get better. Next up, you got DJ Jones, the defensive tackle DJ Jones from the 49ers. Speaking of the 49ers, I like how that all linked up. We talk about the Chiefs. Yeah, that wasn't even on purpose, so you can't coach that stuff. DJ Jones, 3-year, $30 million to the Broncos. This one's growing on me a little bit. First glance, $10 million per year, a lot of money for a guy that just stops the run. That's a little tough, but he's very, very, very good stopping the run, and he's getting better at it. He's a smart player. That's the thing, though. Back to the $10 million per year for a guy that's not involved really in getting after the quarterback. But he's so good at stop and run. He's young. He's got upside. And I feel like the Broncos are set now stopping and run. You're already pretty solid at it. You add this big piece to that, you're set stopping and run. I mean, you could use another linebacker because they got a bunch of free agents there. But phone's going off like crazy. But I like DJ Jones. He's getting better. I mean, yeah. I'm going to give it a B+. I'll give it a B+. There's some value there with the guys that can just instantly upgrade you, stopping a run. So it is a pretty big contract for a guy like that. But we'll give it a B+ here. It's growing on me. DJ Jones is growing on me. Next up, we got Randy Gregory. This one happened just a little bit ago. And Gregory back to the Cowboys, clearing space. I guess just to assist on this, been clearing a lot of space. So 5 years, $70 million, $14 million per year. This is a pretty good deal here for both sides, really. Randy Gregory and the Cowboys. not super surprised. Ended up being 14 million per year. I heard 13 at first, but kind of little surprised that somebody else didn't kind of beat this out. Maybe Reddick getting 15 million, Ugba getting 16.25. So some surprised somebody didn't really get around that 15 million range here. It's a pretty good deal for the Cowboys to get him back. 14 million per year is pretty good. 5 years is a little risky though. Because Gregory with his pass, is he going to last 5 years? I'd like to think so. That is a little risky. Tough one to grade because of that, but spreading it, make it more lengthy, spreading it out helps you kind of clear the cap space out. They're pretty tight cap now and the future, so kind of spreading it out more. I'll give it an A for the Cowboys here. Again, it's a little surprised somebody didn't just come along and give him 15 million. Maybe they did. He just wanted to go back to the Cowboys. It's very possible as well. So we give it an A. Then DJ Chark went to the Lions, 1 year, $10 million. There is a downside of this one because the Lions still need a receiver. They need a receiver still because they don't have a lot of them, even though they're getting better. But because it's a 1 year deal, you still get a pretty solid young receiver in DJ Chark, but you still need a receiver here. So that's a tough part. But DJ Chark's a very solid receiver when he's on the field if he's healthy, and he's got upside. So I think 10 million for him is pretty good. I think that's pretty good. And I guess the good thing about the 1 year deal is test it out, see if he can stay healthy. But then you got to kind of redo this whole thing next year, though. Typically don't love grading the 1 year deal super high because it's just only a 1 year thing. But I do like DJ Chark. I think he's better than we're giving him credit for. And he's got to stay healthy. Lions fill a need in an outside receiver here because they have the inside guy in Amon-Ra St. Brown. We'll give it an A-. I was like kind of B+, A-. If it was a 2 year deal, I'd probably like it a lot better. Give it an A- here. Again, I like the fit. I think Chark's pretty solid. He's got some upside. If he ends up working and being very good, I hope the Lions kind of get a deal done before he reaches free agency again next year, or this is going to look kind of bad. So that's the downside of it. So yeah, kind of B+, A- range there for the Lions. Then a few more, and again, more. I just checked my phone here. I paused the video and checked my phone a second ago, and it was a lot's going on. A lot's going on there. But Chargers signed Austin Johnson, 2 year, $14 million to nose tackles. Very surprised he got $7 million. It helps stop more of that. It helps Chargers stop the run a little bit better. $7 million seems a little rich for a guy that's going to be on the field and first down and short yardage. Gave it a C+. Harrison Phillips is a tricky one for the Vikings. I like Harrison Phillips at that price range. I definitely do. He's an improving run-stopping player there. Surprised that he's cheaper per year than Austin Johnson, actually, so that you can kind of compare the two. So very surprised at that. But what I didn't like, which I, mainly got to just grade Harrison Phillips to the Vikings for this value. So we kind of give that, kind of had in the B range. I'm going to drop it down a little bit because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the Vikings because they had Michael Pierce. They signed Harrison Phillips for around the same price range of what they cut Michael Pierce for to save. I know Pierce can't really stay healthy right now, so I guess that'd be the positive of all that, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Put your focus elsewhere. So maybe drop it from a B+, B range to a B-. Texans get a B for both these offensive line. They bring back Britt. They bring in A.J. Cann. A.J. Cann's declined, but he has some good experience in the past. Pretty cheap deal. And then Malik Hooker, 2 year, $8 million. I'm surprised, that they wanted to jump on that right away, but somewhat of a cheap deal. They're $4 million. Thought they would have kind of focused on some of these other safeties, though. So kind of back and forth on that one. Give it a B- for the Cowboys. My phone's going off like crazy. There's a lot going on. Some surprising things I saw when I just really checked out my phone there for a second in the middle of this video. So there'll be more videos. That's for sure. We have live updates and thoughts on Twitter. So check that out. Link down below for that. This is our third grades video, so there's 2 more you probably want to check out if you haven't seen. They're on the channel. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.